Welcome to the Short Funk Podcast. I'm Tom Barbalet. Maybe I've been particularly naive associated with this topic, and I'm going to talk a little bit associated with my own political judgments and how I came to this position. My perspective is holding a political position, or at least understanding politics in general, requires very heavy and active participation. You need to be reading, you need to be finding a variety of sources, you need to try to keep yourself intellectually honest. And I've talked historically that my political perspective in large part comes from my father, comes from watching union leaders and unions and these kind of things. So I would consider myself part of the very left, very unauthoritarian, meaning that I don't think the state should have any control over me, but also meaning that I think the state should not be protecting business interests that are both very narrow and also in no way support a majority of the people. And this is a political perspective that I've continued for a majority of my life. I'm considerably more extreme than most people that you'll meet associated with these particular issues. And obviously, the current US presidency, a choice between an extreme authoritarian candidate, Donald Trump, or an extreme right candidate, Hillary Clinton, these do not give me any meaningful choices. But this, to me at least, is an intellectual process that requires that I read and understand things and look through a variety of different sources in some regard to persuade my political opinion, but at least so I can have talking points associated with this. And what I've found in the US in particular is that this process that I do that's active and part of going out into the broader world and reading and keeping abreast of these things has been replaced by mailing lists associated with the major political parties, which means that my friends and colleagues who are Democrats, for example, will belong to mailing lists that send them articles and things that basically are just talking points that they should then recite when they encounter folks such as myself, or, you know, give them a sense that they're actually participating in a political process that, you know, they can enjoy. And I've long speculated that these mailing lists existed. I mean, why should they not exist? They're all about, you know, signing people up and this kind of stuff. But the quality and the quantity of information in these mailing lists, I don't have any access to because obviously I'm not subscribed to them. But I've long suspected that a number of the folks that I know on Facebook are on these mailing lists and will periodically post articles that they get from these mailing lists because they're not things that they would normally organically find. Now, why should this surprise me? Why should this cause me any degree of concern? Well, I guess my perspective is that when you talk to people, you can have an intellectual discussion with them based on rigor and stuff that they have done, rather than just stuff that they've read on a mailing list that they then recite. Many times, oftentimes, they don't actually read the stuff that is sent to them through these particular mailing lists. And more importantly, because you're subscribing to a mailing list, the whole nature of being critical associated with your party's behaviors, in particular things that are fundamentally anti-humanitarian, for example, like just randomly bombing places based on nonsense. You know, these kind of issues, if you're subscribed to a mailing list, you're not going to have the wherewithal to actually discuss, which means sometimes I encounter people where I think I'm having a political conversation with them, and then I realize that they're actually just subscribed to a mailing list, that it's not a similarly rigorous discussion with them. And actually, because they don't have the ABCD, they don't have the points, they can't link things together, they're acting like a political zombie, fundamentally. And this always concerns me, that perhaps, like a Truman Show scenario, a majority of what I see is actually highly scripted. It's not associated with independent intellectual endeavors or anything like that. And as the planes fly loud overhead, which is what I'm competing with, recording this short funk, I'm going to bring this one to a close. Tom Barbalet in San Jose, signing out. That's the corporations, ladies and gentlemen, asserting their power.